the fact that the human being is been made for both abodes. Like he's salihun for both abodes. He's an appropriate creature for both of these two abodes, the abode of this world and the abode of the next world. So he says, رضي الله عنه: الإنسان من بين الموجودات مخلوق خلقة تصلح للدارين وذلك أن الله تعالى قد أوجد 3 أنواع من الأحياء، نوع لدار الدنيا وهو الحيوانات، ونوع لدار الآخرة وهو الملأ الأعلى، ونوع لدارين وهو الإنسان. So he says that the human being amongst all created things is a creature that was created for both of the abodes. And that is because if Allah has created 3 types of living beings. The first type is created solely for this abode, the abode of the lower abode, Dar al-Dunya. And these are the animals, hayawanat. The second type is created for the immaterial world. So the first for the material world, the second for the afterlife. And these are the mala al-a'la. This is the highest assembly. And then the third type is for both abodes, which is the human being. فالإنسان واسطة بين جوهرين وضيع وهو الحيوانات ورفيع وهو الملائكة. So the human being is a means between these two essential types. A low type, and those are the animals, and a exalted type or high type, and those are the angels. فجمع فيه قوى العالمين وجعله كالحيوانات في الشهوة البدنية والغذاء والتناسل والمحارشة والمنازعة وغير ذلك من أوصاف الحيوانات، وكالملائكة في العقل والعلم وعبادة الرب والصدق والوفاء ونحو ذلك من الأخلاق الشريفة. And then he made so he made the animals for this lower abode. He put us between these two, and so the animals have bodily appetite. They need food, nourishment, drink. They were created for procreation. Also, they have muharasha and munaza'. So they're creatures that will vie and fight amongst each other. They'll quarrel, and like animals do. The animal world is a bloody world in reality. If you actually look at the animal world, I think Tennyson has an interesting take on that. So, and also all these other aspects that are related to the bestial realm, to the realm of beasts. I just was watching my cat try to catch a fly. Right? So, I mean, the poor fly, what did the fly do to the cat? But that's the bestial world. And then when humans behave like beasts, they end up doing similar things. They invade other people's lands. They take over people's homes. They bulldoze them, or they draw people into a war that they want, but the other group might not want, but they draw them into it just so they can crush them, right? And they'll kill lots of people and not really care. I mean, one of the things about the animal kingdom is at least, when they kill out of necessity, generally. I mean, some cats are pretty cruel. There's a theory that they're evil animals because they will kind of just for sport, and then they like to play with the animal that their prey. But generally, animals will kill because they need to kill, but humans, it's a different story. So he says, so then there's the angels, so like the angels in intelligence, in knowledge, in worshiping their Lord, in sincerity, in their obedience and loyalty, and things like that, from noble qualities, from these higher, the akhlaq al-sharifa, these noble characteristics. وَوَجْهُ الْحِكْمَةِ فِي ذَلِكَ. So now he's going to go into what is the wisdom in that. Like, why would Allah create a creature that has both these qualities in them? They're murakkab in that way, they're compounded. So he says, أنه تعالى لما رشح لعبادته وخلافته وعمارة أرضه وهيأهم مع ذلك لمجاورته في جنته اقتضت الحكمة أن تجمع له قوتان. So when the exalted, basically when he put forward this candidate for his worship and his vicegerency, his stewardship, and the cultivation of his earth, he prepared him with those things for being in his presence in the afterlife, in the Jannah. So all of that, the wisdom, the divine wisdom behind it, then resulted in bringing these two powers together, these two powers, the قوة الحيوانية وقوة الملكية. فإنه لو خلق كالبهيمة معرًا عن العقل لما صلح لخلافة الله تعالى وعبادته. Had he been created like a beast, denuded of rational thought, of intelligence, then he would not have been, he would not have warranted the khilafah, to be the steward, or to worship him out of in other words, out of free will. كما لم تصلح له ذلك البهائم, just as the animals themselves are not, they don't warrant that. They're not, it's not appropriate for them. ولا لمجاورته ودخول جنته, nor for there to be in that divine presence in the afterlife and in his paradise. ولو خلق كالملائكة معرًا عن الحاجة البدنية لم يصلح لعمارة أرضه. And had he created them like angels, denuded of any bodily needs, then they would not have been appropriate to cultivate the earth, because part of the earth's cultivation is farming and agriculture. If you don't need food, then you're not going to farm the world. You're not going to do those things. You're not going to build. If you have no bodily needs, if you don't have cold, then or need protection from heat, then you're not going to create buildings that you need to live in. So all of the imara of the art, because that's one of the reasons Allah created the human being, was to cultivate the earth. It's not simply for ibadah. Like he gives these reasons in the Quran, and he'll get into this in the chapter where he talks about why لِأَجْلِ مَا خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ وَأُوجِدَ الْإِنسَانُ. What are the reasons that the human being has been created? Because there are more than one. And that's why there are some people that are not worshiping Allah, but they are serving a purpose in the world. There's nothing sabahlala in Allah's creation. There's nothing that's pointless. So he says, وَكَمَا لَمْ تَصْلَحُ لِذَلِكَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. So the angels weren't worthy of that. And when they questioned Allah, and it was su'al istifham la i'tirad, as they say, the mufassirun. It was a question to understand, not a question to challenge. So he said, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah said, I know what you do not know. The angels, when they said, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيُسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ. Are you going to put in the earth the one who sows corruption? So they were doing, according to some of the commentators, they were doing analogical reasoning with the jinn that were here before that did all this corruption, because they had free will also. So they were asking, are you going to do this again with these creatures with free will? So Allah says, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. I know what you do not know. فَاقْتَضَتْ الْحِكْمَةُ الْإِلَهِيَّةُ أَن تُجْمَعَ لَهُ الْقُوَّتَانِ. And so, for this reason, the divine wisdom required that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala join these two. إِذَا صَحَبَ التَّعْبِير. I mean, in Arabic, that's what it says. أن تجمع له القوتان. وفي اعتبار هذه الحكمة تنبيه على أن الإنسان دنيوي وأخروي. And in consideration of this divine wisdom, there is a notification. There's a calling to attention the fact that the human being is both worldly and otherworldly. وَأَنَّهُ لَمْ يُخْلَقْ عَبَثًا. And he was not created in vain. There's nothing vain about our creation. كما نبه الله تعالى عليه بقوله أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون. Do you think that we created you in vain and that you will not be returned to God? In other words, this is just a free lunch. There's not going to be any reckoning. There's no hisab. Do you think this is all? And this is what a lot of modern people think. They think that this is purely just a meaningless, I mean, they'll create existential meaning, like somebody like Camille Paglia or something will say, she talks about how important meaning is. But she's an atheist. So that meaning has to be generated like the spider who generates his own abode from his body. He's the only creature, at least the ones that we know. I'm sure some scientist has found some other creature maybe, but from the animals that we know, the spider creates his web from his own. And this is why Allah says that those who disbelieve, الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا اتَّخَذُوا بَيْتًا كَبَيْتَ الْعَنكَبُوتِ, right? Their house is like the spider web's house. So they build this web of meaning, but it's all from themselves. Is that وَإِنَّ أَوْهَنَ الْبِيُوتِ لَبَيْتُ الْعَنكَبُوتِ. This is the weakest of houses. In other words, if the meaning is based only on what you have generated, but in reality it's groundless, then it's a weak house. And this is why they go into deep existential crises when things happen that undermine their meaning. Right? They lose a sense of purpose. If somebody's hedonistic, the same. So they could live for pleasure, but then when the taste buds go, like Shakespeare says, the last stage, it's sans taste, sans sight, sans teeth, sans everything. There's nothing left. So at that stage, then the hedonism's gone, and then you have euthanasia. So they'll just kill them because there's no purpose for them. Like for us, somebody who in the end stage of life, they're being purified. That's all purification. The people, believers that go through those periods where, I saw Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Sagaf, years he was there and people were taking care of him. And he was luminous. Anybody that visited him, they were always amazed. He was luminous. And so it was a blessing for him to be in the world. Like Marabt al-Hajj, the same thing. For the last years of his life, he was, he slept on that khabta, was no bed sores, had an amazing scent. The people, everybody who visited him knows that. But he was being taken care of by the people. They wouldn't euthanize somebody like that, or any Muslim. Because we don't believe that. Even our ulama wrote about the prohibition of euthanizing cats and dogs, let alone a human being. There are fatwas about that you should take care of sick cats and sick dogs. So it's a completely different worldview. So that's what he's telling us. Now this next section is really quite stunning. تَمْثِيلُ ذَاتِ الْإِنسَانِ وَتَصْوِيرُهُ. So this is going to be analogizing and conceptualizing the essence of the human being. So he's going to give us analogies in order for us to really understand through analogy, because this is one of the ways, one of the most important ways that human beings understand things is through analogies. Allah strikes many similitudes in the Quran, the amthal, and those are ways of driving home meaning. Even everything in the Quran about the afterlife is, according to Ibn Abbas, all of it they're just approximations. Because in reality, the afterlife is what nobody has ever seen or heard or never occurred to the human heart. So he said, لَيْسَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا الْأَسْمَاءِ. That's Ibn Abbas said that. The only relationship that the afterlife has to this world is in the names.